Hello and welcome to the return of the NLW Podcast. Apologies for no video last week. I'll explain why that is this week, in this podcast rather. And obviously the title, The End of NLW 24/7. I'm going to be talking about that in this podcast episode. And I'm also going to be talking about what I'm working on with NLW stuff. And you know what? We'll talk about the wrestling world as well. We'll talk about CM Punk, all of that news that's been coming out, but it's coming out at such a pace that by the time this video goes live, it might be irrelevant. So we'll see what happens with that. But yeah, we'll start off with what I'm working on with NLW. And basically, I've been trying to just finish filming some stuff on the road to WrestleMania to the point where I'll be able to continuously kind of keep my focus on filming WrestleMania, because it's going to be probably my biggest show that I've ever made in terms of the stage and all of that jazz. I want it to have this massive stage, this massive kind of feel to it, so hopefully I can deliver on that. I've also been filming the Greatest Royal Rumble. Yes, that is right. If you've not seen it yet, at the end of NLW 24/7 Penultimate, I announced that there would be a Greatest Royal Rumble, the finale of NLW 24/7. And, you know, that's why a lot of you may have clicked on the video. So I will explain my reasoning. NLW 24/7 is coming to an end. I started it in October of 2020. It's kind of like a lockdown project, and it grew from there, and I've been able to incorporate it with match requests from Patreon, and do a manner of all sorts of crazy matches, like the World War III 60-man Battle Royal with the 3 rings, the Greatest Royal Rumbles I've done, the Elimination Chambers, you know, the Hell in the Cells, the Steel Cage matches, as well as the big live events that I've done, like the SummerSlam shows were probably 2 of my favourite ever shows to film just in general, and a bunch of other stuff like Halloween Havoc, and all the wacky stuff I got to do with the 24/7 format, all the different characters coming in and stealing the title from one another. And it was just a way for me to get more content out, but also be more flexible with the way I write shows. So a lot of it was spontaneous. It wasn't necessarily kind of grounded in reality, if you like. There was a lot of fan interaction as well, where I would listen to a lot of what you guys had to say and kind of incorporate that too. And then once I got the chance to use the Patreon picks to kind of shape and mold NLW 24/7, I loved taking all of those match ideas that people had and combining it into this big kind of beast of a show, which in sometimes it was, and really just kind of expand and improve my storytelling abilities and stuff like that, really, because it was a good practice for taking different ideas from different people and trying to form it into a cohesive story with other people's ideas and kind of bring it all together, which I thought, you know, it was a product of the fans in many ways, especially the Patreon viewers. So I can't thank you guys enough for that, for everyone who's submitted matches for that series. It really helped make what it is today. And special shouts outs to Remy Montoya for being there, submitting loads of matches, Cringe God as well, John, XIX Wrestling, and just so many different people who have contributed to the process of NLW 24/7 over the years. I apologise if I've left anybody out, but you've all been massive help to both the channel and the series. And the reason I'm ending it now is just a case of I feel like I've done everything I can do with it. And it happens a lot with a lot of projects that I start. But this one, I feel like it had a definitive beginning, middle, and end in the way it was kind of structured and presented. It had different storyline threads throughout it, whether that was the Fiend's run, Walter's reign of terror, Vader being a dominant champion, and loads of different story beats in between there, which I felt, the rise of Kyle O'Reilly as well, I felt was a good story. And it will end at the Greatest Royal Rumble. I'm not going to spoil anyone on that, but if you do want to watch it early, you can sign up to Patreon if you've not already for just $1 and watch it a month early. It will be out, I believe, the 3rd of December will the Greatest Royal Rumble, so that'll be the finale of NLW 24/7, capping off a 2-year-long story. So yeah, I feel like now is the time to end the series. It may not have always done the best view-wise compared to the NLW stuff, but I still really enjoyed making it and flexing my kind of pick fed skills a little bit more, and the posing abilities that allowed me to kind of, I don't know, communicate to you. So I might be rambling a little bit. To be honest, there's a bunch of reasons why I've ended NLW 24/7, but I can't really articulate it too well, as you can see. But there was a lot of decision making that went into it, ending it early. One of them as well was that I wanted to start a new series called XL Pro, and I'm still working out the kind of intricacies of it, but that will be coming in the new year. Kind of a natural successor in a way to NLW 24/7. It will carry a lot of the same elements in this new series as NLW 24/7, except this will be canon to the main NLW timeline, and that's another reason I'm ending NLW 24/7. It can be a little bit confusing to have this little side series that is non-canon to the main NLW storylines. As fun as it is, it makes sense to have like an NLW universe where everything kind of intertwines, and having NLW 24/7 as this separate entity can be quite confusing because sometimes you'll see Jeff Hardy on it and he'll be a face, but in NLW he's a heel. So just, I'm creating a new series on top of this to feed in better cohesion with the storylines of NLW and this new XL Pro series, which new details will emerge about it. And, if you've got any more questions as to why I've ended NLW 24/7, in terms of like details, maybe leave them in the comments below, because it's difficult to me to describe just one reason why it's ending. But like I said, I think now's the perfect time. 2-year stretch. There's only so much you can do with the 24/7 concept, and I don't want it to grow stale. That's another big reason. I don't want it to grow stale as I go along. I don't want to go through the motions with it, which, at times I may have felt like I had, in terms of like obligations and stuff, but the shows are always really fun to make, and I enjoy watching them back. But, in terms of like a storyline aspect, sometimes stuff can get a bit stale if you're just focusing on your own ideas and, maybe just trying to make sense of how you're going to kind of book things week to week while it makes sense, while, trying to maintain a level of creativity that you're happy with. I don't know. Maybe I'm kind of... this is going to be a rambly podcast, so I do apologise for that. It's just that a lot of my time last week, that's why I didn't do the podcast last week, was that I was filming NLW 24/7's Greatest Royal Rumble, the finale. And, so that's essentially why I've ended it. There's going to be a new series which will retain a lot of the same elements, but hopefully improve on them, making it canon to the NLW universe and stuff like that. And it's also like creative burnout sometimes when you're doing this thing for like 2 years and you kind of want to develop other kind of ideas with a new series and start like a clean slate like I want to do with this XL Pro thing. I've already made a stage for it, and I've made a new stage for NLW too, which you'll see not the next episode but the episode after. And that's also been taking up my time redesigning the NLW arena to make it feel a little bit more big time, if that makes sense. So you'll see some changes coming to that, and there's also loads of other stuff I want to do that I feel like I don't have the time to do at the moment, and that's another thing why I'm ending NLW 24/7. It's a time-consuming thing. Obviously, this new series will hopefully not be as time-consuming, but that's, it's the nature of filming so many matches. It's bound to kind of drive burnout at some point, and I don't want to get to that point. I want to keep things fresh. I want to keep moving forward with new ideas, and so again, any questions you have, just leave them in the comments and hopefully I can answer them. But again, that's what I've been working on. Figure news, not really a lot in terms of figure news. There are some interesting photos that have been released since my last podcast, including a look at the Elite 98, so the Demon Finn Balor looks pretty cool, the Mandy Rose looks sick, we've also seen the Royal Rumble Elites closer, but yeah, not really a lot new on the figure scene. And speaking of wrestling figures, I really am trying to cut back on what figures I buy, because I feel like I've got enough. Simply put, I've got enough to film the storylines I want to, and I want to use the figures that I've got, so probably not going to be seeing a lot of new figures in the series moving forward. But in terms of attires, definitely you will see new figures in terms of wrestlers, but yeah, not a lot of figure news, but wrestling news. A lot of wrestling news going down, baby. We've got Halloween Havoc, which we saw last Saturday. A fantastic show. I've only managed to catch a couple of matches on it, but it does look like a fun ode to Halloween Havoc's past, as well as NXT's past. We've seen the likes of Sami Uso, as he's called now, cracking up the bloodline in a fantastic segment. Again, I love the chemistry that Sami Zayn and Jey Uso have on screen, and the way that he said on SmackDown, I don't care what the tribal chief says, and you just see Roman Reigns, something snaps in his brain, and he's like, oh, hell no, you did not just say that. Some of the best stuff on TV at the moment. And other stuff with the OC, Gallows and Anderson returning. Recently, them trying to find someone to fight Rhea, and all the stuff with Rey Mysterio being moved to SmackDown, now targeting Gunther as we kind of simmer down the Mysterio rivalry. That will pick up towards WrestleMania, I'm sure, and a lot of exciting stuff in the WWE at the moment. AEW, it seems quite confusing. I didn't have a chance to catch up on Dynamite this week, but I did see the Firm turn on MJF, which is a little bit confusing, but again, it's probably going to lead to something bigger, and I'm not one to kind of poo-poo an angle, if you see what I mean, before they kind of progress forward. But yeah, I don't know. AEW, it's not hitting at the moment for me, but hopefully that does change in the next couple of weeks, leading to Full Gear. I think Full Gear will probably be the first pay-per-view that I don't buy of AEW, simply because I'm not that invested in the programming at the moment. Like, the last show I watched fully was Grand Slam last month, and you know, even that had its problems, but I love the Acclaimed. I love MJF. I think Moxley's fantastic. I think Danielson's fantastic. Jericho as ROH champion is something that I am interested in, and we've also got ROH Final Battle coming up, so hopefully the ROH stuff can be phased out of AEW programming, because I do think it's being a bit of a distraction for the ongoing presentation, really. Because with so many titles, how would you make them feel meaningful? Likewise with Wardlow's title run, I think Wardlow's fantastic. And, you know, you're cutting promos on saying, like, the internet thinks this and that about me. It just makes you look a little bit weak, and it moves into WCW shoot territory and stuff of that nature. Although I am very excited. I am excited to see the Elite back in the fold. I may be the only one in that, but I think that the Elite have been sorely missed from AEW television, and it's good to see them coming back. I wonder what's going to happen with them moving forward. I think Kenny Omega is someone, again, who is one that I think is missing from AEW television. The more I see of Kenny Omega, the better, in my opinion. I'm a big fan of the guy. And we also heard some rumblings about the CM Punk situation. I won't go too much into it, but it looks like they're trying to buy out his contract. I don't know if it's the right thing to do. I think that, you know, there are ways that you can mend fences. I don't think that necessarily firing him outright is the way to go, especially if the Elite were barging in, as they said, hurting his dog, and, you know, it would be enough to set anyone off, especially with tensions being as high as they were. I would love to see a situation where CM Punk faces Kenny Omega, but that's just a mark in me, kind of fantasy book in there. I'm not a big fan of CM Punk as I was before. However, I think that he can still bring a lot to AEW television. That might be a controversial statement, but the programming hasn't been the same since he's gone. That's all I'm saying. But yeah, I still don't think that the storylines he was involved in were hitting that much by the time he came back. I think ever since Double or Nothing and the injury, CM Punk, his storylines have kind of fallen off a little bit, just in my view, really. But again, I think the whole the Hangman Page stuff was blown way out of proportion, and it always becomes like a he said, she said type thing. So again, like the hearsay and all the kind of negativity, I don't know if you need it, really. Maybe getting rid of Punk would be better for locker room morale. But again, I don't work there. I just like to see what's on my TV. And what's on my TV isn't great at the moment, so, you know, hopefully they can turn that around. But again, I still like... I think as wrestlers, they're all fantastic. That's all I'll say about it, you know. End with a little bit of positivity. We'll go to wrestler and match of the week. Match of the week, I'm going to pick Halloween Havoc's main event between Bron Breakker, Jordan Devlin, or whatever he's called now, McDonough, whatever, and Ilya Dragunov. I think it was a fantastic triple threat match, and it really reminded me a lot of NXT main events in the past, that kind of work rate style. I think Bron Breakker is a star in the making, and having Dragunov and, I'm just going to call him Devlin, to work off of was really cool. I think close second would be that ladder match. Had some insane spots in there. Nathan Fraser really delivered in that match, in my opinion. And Wesley, well-deserved champion, in my view, after everything kind of the controversies he's been involved with his tag team partner being released. At least he's getting rewarded now for sticking with it and being a top star there. Hopefully, in the future, I want to bring Wesley in definitely to NLW at some point. Maybe into the X Division, who knows? We'll see. With that, my wrestler of the week, though, is going to go to Sami Uso. I'm going to call him Sami Uso. He is Usi. He is Usi personified, basically, and that segment on SmackDown with him and Jey Uso just shows a lot of funny moments mixed in with the serious moments, and seeing Jey Uso crack up was fantastic, and great stuff there. Anytime the Bloodline's on TV now with Sami is fantastic, and he is a saviour of SmackDown in many ways. But WWE programming been pretty fun recently, especially SmackDown. I think that SmackDown's turned around quite a lot. So yeah, hopefully the momentum keeps going. And I like Karrion Kross, okay? I've seen some people who don't like his run. I like Karrion Kross. I like what he's doing with Drew McIntyre. And I'm excited for the Steel Cage match. I might be the only one, but yeah, just going to say it. There's also some stuff to get to with the patrons. So let's shout them out right now. What are the patrons? I'll show you. We will thank right now Danger Cat, Jason Beggs, Joshua, Kid Zap, Casey Hellschool, Devin Downlin, Ryan McCarthy, Cupid, Anthony Hill, Brandon Furman, Cringe God, Flynn Lampkin, and John. Thank you all for being patrons. If you want to sign up and get early access to the Greatest Royal Rumble right now for just $1, head over to my Patreon. The link is in the description. And finally, what's coming up on the NLW channel? Well, this Saturday will be NLW episode 105, main evented by Finn Balor versus Evil. There's going to be a great match between AJ Styles and Rey Mysterio. Plus, we will hear from Kenny Omega for the first time since his suspension at the hands of Shawn Michaels. Some big WrestleMania matches are going to be announced on that card. Triple H is going to pick his team as well for WrestleMania, and you don't want to miss it. So tune in to NLW episode 105 this Saturday on the main channel. On this channel, though, I don't know what's coming. Maybe Crown Jewel predictions. We'll see how I feel with that. There's also going to be a new series with a mini-series with Wrestlistic coming up very soon, and I'm looking forward to showing you details of that. I just need to get to filming that video, And there's also going to be, the week after, I believe, is going to be the WrestleMania press conference, so do check that out. And then, I think the week following, it may be Metal Wrestling's episode 3, it will be, with some big matches on that too. So that's what's coming up. Remember, NLW 105 this Saturday. Thanks for listening to another episode of the podcast. I greatly appreciate you sticking with me. It might have been a rambly one this week. It's just that I found it difficult to articulate why I was ending NLW 24/7. But hopefully you enjoyed it nonetheless. I will catch you guys later. Thanks for listening to this NLW podcast.